Finally, as the market is hitting all-time highs, we're beginning to see some signs of a resistance, which is great because I just prepared for my first swing trade. What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with Technical Solutions. But before we get into my swing trade, let's go ahead and talk about the day trades that I took today. So Robinhood was a short position that I opened up when we began to indicate signs of a reversal. I actually opened it up partially during today's live trading session. It broke that pattern, began to indicate signs of an uptrend, so I had to close out that short. And then once we broke below, again, the moving average, opened short again, ran this thing all the way back down to the support at $19 and then covered short there. Walked away with $6,100 on the day, and I left myself with no shares on Robinhood just because, again, although I do see potential for this thing to pull on back, we are getting close to the moving average and this thing could find a support and then begin to recover. With that being said, again, one of the other positions that I also took a position on that I'm going to be talking about in just a little bit is SQQQ. SQQ, I went long on it with just a few shares. It gapped up 1.5% on the day. But again, on the day does not mean that that is all that it gained. From lows to highs on the day, it was a 6% move. And this is the beautiful thing about the stock market is as a day trader, it doesn't matter what the stock moves, SQQQ shows 1.4%. Okay, well, that's based off of yesterday's close and today's close, but it doesn't mean that that was the range or the opportunity that the stock offered. But because SQQQ sold off so much, because the NASDAQ market hit all-time highs or hit inflated prices because NVIDIA reported earnings and NVIDIA gapped up nearly 10%. NVIDIA gapping up wasn't even enough to help the NASDAQ or the S&P 500 because shortly after the market opened, the sell-in pressure began. And that was after a series of economic reports that were released. I'm not too sure if you guys saw that, but today there was a series of economic reports that told us how the overall job market was doing when it comes down to new home sales as well. And everything came in just a lot lower than what is expected. The NASDAQ market began to sell off and SQQQ began to rise. I made a few bucks. I closed my position out very early and this thing continued to run up. So in no way was this a perfect trade by any means, but I was still happy that I was able to walk away with $1,300 in the green, and I just left myself with my one lucky share. The only other stock that I traded today was I shorted AMC, and I wish I would have shorted it more because it sold off even more to yesterday's lows. And again, it's a textbook setup, very, very simple. I walked away with $856 shorting this piece of shit stock, and again, I left myself with no open shares. The other thing that I want to remind you is that AMC, again, although it is a shit company, is not actively selling off. I do have to give credit where it's due, and it went from $13 and it sold off quite a bit. It's founded support right around $4.20 and $4.50. So it's not making lower lows, which is a great reminder for those that are trying to actively short it every single day. I want to remind you that if we're not making progress on the downside, then this thing, like we've seen before, can go absolutely ballistic if enough momentum gets factored in, right? If there's enough hype and it breaks its resistance at $5.20 or $5.30, this thing could break out. Remember, it's a pump and dump. It's a glorified pump and dump from all of those Reddit and meme traders. With that being said, you have to be careful and cautious when carrying a short position, which is one of the main reasons that I'm choosing not to actively short it. The other thing that I wanted to quickly share with you is, again, the Dow Jones Industrial had one of the worst days in the past year, meaning that it sold off more today than it has in the past 365 days. NVIDIA gapped up 9%, and it still wasn't even enough to stop the slide, and bond yields spiked again. So it's taking money away from the market because now bond yields, which is again a very secure way to be able to invest your money, went up to 4.47%. And anytime those things go up, again, it's a safer outlet for large investors to be able to allocate and delegate their capital into bond yields instead of trying to buy the market as it's nearly at all-time highs. So again, a lot of people are asking the very simple question: has the market moved up enough? Is the market overbought enough that we're finally going to begin to pull on back? Well, the thing that I want to share with you is, again, I can't predict the future. I'm not going to pretend like I can. I've been wrong many times, and I've shared that with you guys before. But one of the swing trades that I just planned for, and I shared it with my LPP team, is one thing that I'm trying to focus on for this past month is quality trades. So I still day trade when I do, but when it comes down to our beginners, I know everyone doesn't have the ability to trade every single day. So I created this swing trading challenge. If you're part of our LPP team, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's to encourage beginners to focus on quality trades and limits people to be able to trade only 4 times within a 4-week period. That's the whole point of the challenge, to really focus on quality trades. This is week 2 of the swing trading challenge, and this is my first trade because we still haven't gotten confirmation of the NASDAQ market actively selling off. So tomorrow, as long as SQQQ actually holds above the current range that we're trading at, so if we actually begin to show signs of progress above the moving average, then that's finally doing something that we haven't been able to do in the past, and that's the NASDAQ market breaking below its moving average and actively pulling on back. And if you look at this on the 4-hour time frame, we have huge pullback potential, but again, if and only if the NASDAQ market actually begins to sell off. Market's very bullish and it can go higher for longer, but it's very overbought, and it looks like after today, it looks like it's finally giving in. This can definitely be too early, but again, after a really nice rally and hitting new all-time highs, I'm really excited to see if we break below this EMA and begin to work our way back down to the moving average. So if the NASDAQ market does begin to sell off, then that is exactly the opposite of what SQQQ will do. This thing will break above EMA and work its way back up to the moving average, which again, from $10 to $11 per share, that is exactly what I plugged into my risk to reward ratio calculator. My entry price, $10.05, exit price, $10.90, and cut losses at $9.90. It gives me a risk to reward of $5.67, which means 5.67% upside for every 1% of downside. And with 2,500 shares, which is about $25,000, I could potentially make $2,100 profit, and I could potentially lose $375. So again, this is the beautiful thing about being able to have that risk to reward ratio calculator, is that it lets you figure out exactly what risk you're choosing to take on before you actually take the trade. And how many times, or how useful would that have been as a complete beginner to have been able to use that calculator to not take advantage of trades that are not actually worth it. And remember, if you want that risk calculator, it's absolutely for free. Just shoot me a direct message right now via Instagram. Send me the message risk calculator, and I'll respond with the actual PDF or Excel that you can actually download so you can start actually planning out your trades before you actually take them. Especially if you want to join our swing trading challenge, if you guys haven't done so already, it's for all LPP members. Second link in the description down below. And again, if your focus has always been trying to stop over trading, I really think that it could be useful for you. And again, it also gives you access to the ability to watch me trade live every single day. And that's that second link in the description down below if you are looking for that 50% off discount. Right now it's $249, which is half off, and that's the biggest discount we'll ever offer. I also want to remind you guys for Shop Tech Buds, right now we have our vintage tees starting at only $20 per tee. We also have a BOGO, buy one, get one, for all the aluminum art that you see behind me. Again, you guys can view our wide collection, buy one, get one, 50% off. Just use promo code TAKE2. And also we have new arrivals for the Nancy Pelosi Trader of the Year, Wall Street hoodie. And one of the last things is 55% off on selected wall art that is now available. And once it sells out, we will not restock it. And again, all free shipping on orders over $150. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to check that out, shoptechbuds.com, or the fourth link in the description down below. I appreciate your time. I'll see you tomorrow for our live trading session. And if you want to tune on in, it's just that second link in the description down below. Take care, team.